The menace of transporting humans in trucks has continued to claim more lives and pose danger to other road users across the country, despite a continuous campaign by the Federal Road Safety Corps and the other stakeholders. Early today, a trailer conveying passengers that had an accident along Zaria Road. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSA Kano Sector Command, confirmed the tragic incident, which occurred around 3 a.m. The accident involved a trailer conveying, over 90 passengers, which reportedly lost control due to overspeeding, resulting in the death of 25 people, while others sustained injuries. The FRSA has been taking measures to, bring to an end the bad habit of conveying humans in trailer. Example is the setting of a joint task force comprising of the Nigerian Police, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the state traffic management agencies and transport unions. As part of the operations, the JTF dropped more than 3,530 passengers, which were mandated to take alternative vehicles designed for, conveying passengers. Despite these measures, among others, more people continue to use trailers as a means of transportation, leading to loss of lives and property, as well as causing harm to other innocent road users. This and more will be our focus on Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am Ikaria Clinton. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Now joining me in the studio is Olusegun Ogungbemide. He's a Corps Commander and Corps Public Education Officer, FRSC. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
And also joining the conversation is David Akoji. He's a Director, Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency, NOA. Thanks for coming on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much, Keria. Good evening. Pleasure to be here.
Now, I'll start with you, Olusegun. Please tell us, why do we keep having this same incident repeat over and over again, even though I know a lot of measures have been put in place by FRSC to ensure that these kinds of incidents, don't occur?
Thank you very much. There could be this impression that we are not doing enough. There could be, in some quarters, the impression that maybe we've not gotten it right. But let me quickly give you the analysis of the first half of the year, where we arrested a total of 323,879 offenders. That's between January and June. That's an insight into the activities of Federal Road Safety Corps, that we have never failed in that responsibility of trying to keep the road safe. And the last Salah patrol we had, we recorded 50% reduction in road traffic crashes as against the same time in 2023. We're still in the mode of celebration when the incident of this morning happened. And this is an incident that has been trending for some months, that really prompted the decision of the Corps to introduce the Joint Task Force, which you comprehensively gave the report. It's an indication that we have been on this for a while. We have been managing it. So FRSC, to my own assessment, we have never failed in discharging this responsibility. But like we all say, anytime we have reason to talk about safety, we say road safety is everybody's business. And it's the minus that we are all experiencing now.
Now, David, you will see some persons, using, will I say, adopting truck, sitting on goods on trucks, using that as a means of transportation. Now, if you look at this trend, you would know that this is a danger. Even a little child knows that this is danger. But people keep doing it. What could be, some of the reasons why we're having these kinds of attitude?
Well, you see, the trend has grown of late. It has grown partly because people find the challenge of transportation somewhat difficult to cope with. Transport fares have gone up. Cost of movement from one place to the other has also gone up. And truck drivers of vehicles that are otherwise not designated for transporting human beings are cashing in on this challenge. They are offering transport fare rates that are ridiculously low, to attract some of these people to inconvenience themselves and go by this form of transport, which is not allowed, which is not proper, So that's part of the challenge. The other part is this. People are not sensitized enough to know that it is their lives that is at stake. Now, this challenge in the area of sensitization is something that I would say a lot of responsibility also lies on NATO, National Association of Transport Owners, because it's their vehicles that are used to carry these people illegally. And I'm sure that the owners may not have sanctioned this because they know the rules and they know that they can get into problem with Federal Road Safety Corps if this happens. So sensitization is one thing. The other thing is the ability to enforce and hold people accountable when they do this kind of breach. This that has happened now, we probably wouldn't have known about it if not that this accident occurred. Imagine the hour of the day, 3 a.m., that this driver decided to move with over close to 100 people, in addition to livestock that was in this truck, So the owners of these forms of transport also owe a responsibility of monitoring to ensure that their vehicles are not used for the wrong purposes, as we have seen in this case, and then we have seen the outcome. So the responsibility does not lie with Federal Road Safety alone. As he has rightly said, road safety is everybody's business. It's a business of drivers. So drivers should also take caution as a result of what has happened. It's a possibility. And then those who are adapting by turning to these forms of transport should know that the advantage of low transport fare can be completely wiped out by injuries or loss of lives, as we have seen also in this particular case. So it's a case of people wanting to turn to cheaper forms of movement from one part of the country to another.
Yeah, David, as much as I want to agree with you that some persons will say because of the, the pecuniary, the money implication of the transportation and all of that. But then again, you see that some of these persons are traders. Yes. And sometimes, or most of the time, you see them with a lot of money around their waist while they are doing all this kind of thing, especially for those of them that are moving, from this, what they call the bush market and the rest of them. They have a lot of money with them. It's not like sometimes it's the money aspect. So maybe you should also talk to us about the risk using the trucks as a means of transportation.
Firstly, I think the law does not even permit it outrightly. According to the National Road Traffic Regulations, those categories of vehicles are only meant for carrying goods. Even when you have to carry cattle with a trailer, the law only permits about 4 people that are expected to tend to those trucks and to those cattle while on transit. The front is what is a mark for these categories of passengers to operate. And even when they have the reason to be at the back with the cattle, you know that there's a way they separate a compartment where those tenders are expected to operate from. And for you mentioned the issue of these other women that are selling foodstuffs that go to farm and pick food items. In the course of our job, we also discovered that these women always give the excuses of losing their items in transit. So compulsorily they want to be with the items in the same vehicle, traveling hundreds of kilometers under the bad weather, under the harsh condition, and at the end of the road, at the end of the day, they lose their life. Even the money that they refuse to spend will still be tied to their waist. And these are the people that are being arrested on a daily basis. Do you know what pains me in the whole exercise? Even when they are arrested, they get stranded on the highway. Because by virtue of the rules, I can't allow you to continue on that journey with the same vehicle. Because I won't arrest you and still allow you to proceed. It's counterproductive. So we don't normally permit it. So they suffer a lot. And that's why we give, my brother just talked about sensitization. This is what we have been doing in the last 35 years of our existence. Educating the motorists, educating road users continually. But you know, transportation sector is very dynamic. You see newcomers coming in day and day in. And that's why we are very dynamic too in our approach. How do you carry more than 90 passengers in a trailer that has cattle, ram and goat and foodstuff as content? And because they are trying to beat the task force, they might have decided to travel that early hours of the day when you know that help is not readily available. So these are the things we have continually. Just few days to Salah, the Corps Marshal had a meeting with all the transport union, the NURTW, the NATO, the RETRAN, all of them were with us in the office, still sensitizing them, because just like you mentioned, we know that the vehicles belong to NATO. So they should be like, they are like our ambassador to speak to their subjects. But eventually, maybe they must have just changed their leadership and see the results, see what we experience now.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break now and listen to a cross-section of Nigerians on their, their thoughts on, transporting humans on trucks. Stay with us.
Before I prepare for traveling, if I want to travel now to prepare, I'll make sure that I have enough money for me to travel. Even to book planes, it would have been better if I have the money. But if I don't have money, like I don't have little money, and I want to travel, I'm not going to enter truck, sir. I can't enter truck, sir. Very dangerous.
When rain is falling, rain will hit you under it. If sun will hit you. Maybe the car fell off brake. People at the back might still fall down and get injured. So for we Nigeria, despite the fact it's cheaper, but for we Nigerians to make things easier, we know that the country is hard. But life first, to save our life is more better than to put ourselves in a risk. Going out on something we know that it's not valuable, it will not make it will not add anything to us than to cause us more danger.
Most of our northern, most of us we are taking risks anyway. But like me, I cannot waste my time, or because of maybe I want to buy food, buy that, then I will manage my pocket to enter truck to my place. I can't do that. I will never try it. They are taking their risks. They are taking their risks actually. But in this kind of modern life now, most of we even from Abuja to Kaduna, we have train that always go to Kaduna. I think it's better than to enter truck.
I really think it's very life-threatening because you don't know what will happen. If you fall off, you could have any type of injuries to yourself, you could have a brain tumor, anything could happen. So I advise that you just take the proper transport system so that you don't go into the troubles of having to be admitted or even losing your life in that process.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we're looking at the issue of transporting humans in trucks. And of course, I have with me in the studio two gentlemen, one from the FRSC and of course the other from NOA. Now, David, you had the reaction of people there. A lot of people are against that. How do we pass this information to people involved so that they'll stop harming themselves or exposing themselves to danger?
I think there's need to ramp up awareness creation, especially towards that segment of Nigerians that are usually attracted to this form of sensitization, transportation. You know, it's not all segments that would decide to go out, no matter how cheap it is to transport by these sort of vehicles. There are quite a number of Nigerians who would not consider it as an alternative. So we know the segment that are attracted to this form of transportation because of how cheap it is. And there's need for engagement, you know, with that segment of our population who usually do these kind of things. And I'm glad about what one of the gentlemen spoke, the last one, I think. You see this happening more in the north than in most other parts of the country. You know, people migrating from one part of the north or the other to go and carry out whatever kind of menial commercial jobs that they would find in other parts of the country. And they can't really afford this. But the other person said it's wiser to save up your money until you have enough to go by proper transportation, because the alternative is that you could just lose your life.
They will give you 1 million. Some
and
of them
risk
will give you 1 million reasons why they should they should use a truck.
We really need to keep
How
on
do we
engaging
reorientate
with
Nigerians
this segment.
on this?
Reorientation has to be continuous and ongoing. You heard what he said. Transport sector is dynamic. You enlighten one man today, by the next year, it's a different person that's driving that same truck, or by the next month, you know, and so on. So we need to sustain this engagement and sensitization with this segment of people who are vulnerable.
Now, you've mentioned what FRSC is doing. Now, how can individuals, communities, you know, traditional leaders, you know, advocate for a safer method of transportation? Because at the end of the day, it boils down to people are coming from the community. Those mostly, like you said, there are some segments, and if you see, most of the segment is coming from the local communities. Yes. You know, so how can we advocate for safer transportation?
You just picked it out of my mouth, because just this morning, the Corps Marshal is all over the media, made the pronouncement that we should build on our usual sensitization program. Now, just like he said, segmenting it now, we've been able to discover the source of this problem. We know where it's emanating from. The crash that occurred this morning, the vehicle took off from Katsina. You can imagine the time, and the trend has shown the direction or the source of all these problems. And he has given the mandate, the marching order to the lieutenants of those various locations that we should engage the traditional rulers. Yes. Because it's going down to the roots. And he's also giving the mandate to our senior officers that are within the headquarter corps. This is not the time to sit down at the headquarter. You have to go down to the basis. Let's get down to the grassroots. Let's engage the traditional rulers. Let's engage the youth leaders. Let's engage we have the opinion molders, the people that these categories of people do have respect for. Because while the enforcement is there, the truth of the matter is enforcement can only take care of 15% of what we're talking about. It's sensitization that has the bulk of the approach to solve the problem. So we have decided that henceforth our focus now will be on the root cause of the problem, which is down to the grassroots, where these categories of men are engaging the transportation, the trucks and the trailers, and that is where we are going to engage them. Because let them speak to their conscience. Let them know the implication of losing their life. We just talked about 25 people. You only mentioned number, but they are by extension, their loved ones, the children, the wives. What happened to them?
Even the ones that are injured, some of them
we still have some of them in the hospital. We don't even know the categories of their injury. There are some that might not even survive it. So you now imagine, it's beyond the figure by extension, it has the multiplier effect even on the economy, because that property is lost. That particular person that is taking goods to the other part of the country, those ones are perished, and the economic effect of it is also there. So we have resolved. The Corps Marshal Sheikh Mohammed has given the marching order that henceforth all our focus now, let's leave the task force apart because it's going to work simultaneously, but let's also engage them at the grassroots and get its nip in the bud.
Now, before I let you go, you know, the accident that happened today happened in the early hours of the day. Now, what is FRSC doing in terms of technology? How are you leveraging technology to make sure you nip this in the bud? Because definitely your men might not be there by that time. So how are you leveraging technology? You
know what technology has done, and that's what we saw far before now. And you wouldn't know what technology has assisted us in achieving. I told you we arrested about 3,000 and something. It's an indication that in the last 3 months, we have saved about 3,000 people from getting killed. That's the implication. Because those that we couldn't get, that travel very early hours, you see what happened to them. And that was the same thing speed limit devices assisted us in doing. You know, we brought out a policy that every vehicle, commercial vehicle, because our emotion is towards the commercial, they are helpless. They are just innocently entering a vehicle where they have no bearing. So it's the category of people that will pick interest in. That when you have a speed limit device, like this truck now, is calibrated to the point that you cannot go beyond 70 kilometers per hour. So any effort to go beyond that, it will be dragged back. But these are the ones that escape the windows. So technology has assisted us so far in reducing the rate of road traffic crashes. We are still on orders that have not fixed theirs. Because like I said, it's dynamic. New ones are coming in. The mandate is that before you can operate a commercial vehicle, you must have your speed limit device installed. FRSC might not be everywhere, but the speed limit device will be with you on transit. And that's the essence of technology.
So, David, one last word, I think, in this 30 seconds. Tell us, do you think the punishment for violation should be reviewed to ensure compliance? Because it seems that with all the rules, people are still not obeying them.
You know, penalty is a big deterrent for misbehavior, you know. And yes, I think so. If the penalties become more severe in terms of fines, in terms of even possibility of jail time, then people would be reflective on whether it's worth it to take this kind of risk that leads to this kind of loss of lives that we are dealing with, you know, that we have on our hands from Katsina to Kano and somewhere in Zaria. And if you don't put that in place, then you'll see reoccurrence, you know, of these things happening.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. With that, we draw the curtain for today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to David Akoji, Director, Special Duties and State Operations, National Orientation Agency. Thank you so much for your time and report. And also, I had Olusegun Ogungbemide, Corps Commander and Corps Public Education Officer, FRSC. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.